Hey, y'all. I wanted to put out a video, what I call the corrected timeline. And the reason I call it the corrected timeline is because I've added something that you won't see in any other timeline. And and I think it's intentional that people leave it out, but it's critical to the case. And if you're being truthful, you would want to include all the information that we know about the case. And I'll explain here in a minute. But let me get started. Um, Approximately 150. This is where uh, Richard Allen had just got to the bridge, and the reason I can estimate that is because it takes about 20 to 25 minutes to get from the old CPS building to here. And Richard Allen was walking with a purpose. In you know just that term um, kind of um, means he was doing something nefarious by saying he's walking with a purpose. In reality, he was just walking quickly, um, and he was out there to just enjoy nature. But walking with a purpose sound makes him sound much more criminal like, and so that's why that expression continues. But yes, he was walking quickly. I think that would be a fair statement. And so I think he got there on the quicker side, which would be about 20 minutes from his car. And so that puts him there at about 150. And we know Betsy Blair was behind him because he was already on the bridge when she got there. And we know Abby and Libby were about half of this distance behind Betsy, because when she got to the start of the bridge, she didn't stay long. There was, a man out there, and probably wasn't real comfortable, and so she almost immediately, turned around and met the girls, halfway back. So this distance between them is probably pretty accurate as well. Um, okay, so the next, um, 155. So Richard Allen is still out on the bridge. He's looking at fish and just enjoying the day. Betsy Blair is already working her way back. And Abby and Libby, believe it or not, you can see quite a distance um, to the bridge and would have seen Richard Allen standing out there, just like Betsy Blair did, and decided they're not going to go out on a bridge with an adult man. And what young girls would. Um, and so what they had to have done was to stop and hide down the slope a little bit. So I've got them hiding down here until Richard Allen leaves, and then they can have the bridge to themselves. And Occam's razor says the simplest theory is likely to be the correct theory. And this is the simplest theory. The girls would have seen him from quite a distance, and I'll show you how far they would have been when they could see him. This is the bridge right here, and the girls, you can actually see even farther than this. I've only shown um, this image because it's much easier to see the bridge. But they could have, another 20 yards back, they could have seen Richard Allen standing out on the bridge. And so they could have easily gone over this little embankment, and then there's a steep slope right here. And they could have, not so steep that, you couldn't easily get down it, but steep enough to where they could easily hide from a man that's out on the bridge. And Occam's razor says that this is what happened. Um, no young girls will just decide, oh yeah, let me go walk out on a bridge with an unknown man. It's just not going to happen. And um, so at about 1:55, the girls are waiting um, down the slope a little ways for Richard Allen to leave. 2 o'clock. Richard Allen has been out on the bridge long enough, and he's left, and he's past the girls who are hiding from him. And Richard Allen never saw the girls. And all young girls think older males are creepy anyway, and that's the language that Abby and Libby used to describe, men. And so it makes sense that they would have been hiding and waiting for him to leave, and then they could have the bridge to themselves. Who wouldn't want that? Even I would want that, to be honest with you. I prefer when I'm out in nature having the place to myself. So Richard Allen walks past the girls. Betsy Blair, most accounts say that she went down the 505 trail. I'm not 100% sure about that. That's why I have the question mark. But most accounts have her, just taking a little detour down there. And so at this point, as Richard Allen walks towards the bench, never seeing the girls, um, then the girls are able to um, now head to the bridge. And it takes about 2 minutes for the girls to get from here to here. Uh, I've I've watched video of people walking the trails, and from the point that you could see Richard Allen standing out on the bridge, it takes about 2 minutes. So if this is 2 o'clock, the girls get to the bridge at about 2:02, and then 3 minutes later take their 2:05 picture pointing south, um, and then they take their 2:07 picture pointing north. And no one is seen in either picture. And so this brings us to the most important um, part that is left out of every other timeline. And I think intentionally. People have agendas. Um, for some YouTubers, it's towing the line of law enforcement so that they can get some scoop or some, they get to talk to the prosecution, or they have their agenda. And so this gets left out. This information gets left out of most timelines. I have no agenda. I'm not doing this to please anyone. In fact, when when you bring up Ron Logan, you'll get your head bit off every time. Um, but facts are facts, and they're pesky things. And this is a fact. Ron Logan made a phone call at 2:09 at the area of the Monon High Bridge trails. And really, the only place he could have made that phone call is right here, because Betsy Blair had walked this distance, never saw Ron Logan. Richard Allen had walked through here and never saw Ron Logan. Ron Logan did not come from this direction. He came from, this is his house. He has a shortcut trail across his property that goes straight to the north end of the bridge. And that's where he made his phone call. I know he made his phone call there because 4 minutes later, he was filmed by Libby, and it takes 4 minutes to get from here to where Libby filmed him. But this is critical to the case, the fact that he made this phone call, and yet it always gets left out of every timeline. And um, you know, the prosecution is trying to say, well, phone pings are they're not reliable. They're good within a mile or two, maybe 5 miles. They're trying to muddy the waters, and that's simply not the case. And they know it's not the case. There's a cell tower right here, and there's others. Um, they know they know where Ron Logan made that phone call. I know where Ron Logan made that phone call. He made it at the end of the bridge. Um, this is not Ron Logan's property. Ron Logan's property is all this over here. Um, and so a lot of people try to excuse this by, oh well, he was just on his property. He was close by, and he made this phone call. He was not close by. His property is a half mile away. Um, and so there's no trying to explain this phone call away. Um, he made his phone call right there, and he is the bridge guy. I've proven it. If you haven't watched my other videos, he's got a water bottle. He's carrying a water bottle. The water bottle proves that the bridge guy is about 6'1". And law enforcement knows that um, Ron Logan is the bridge guy because I've proven it to them over a year ago. And when I submitted the information on the water bottle, they, um, you know, they went out and got Richard Allen's water bottle, thinking, oh, well, that's it's got to be the same water bottle. What? It's not. Ron Logan, I promise you, had a Nalgene water bottle. Rick Allen does not. And so law enforcement knows that Rick Allen is innocent now after they arrested him, but their pride prevents them from admitting that they arrested the wrong guy. And that's why if it seems like this is a railroading, if it seems like people are conspiring to keep him in prison as long as they can until he goes crazy or dies, it's because this is a conspiracy and they are trying to keep him in prison as long as they can until he dies. Because they know he's innocent. I've proven it to them multiple ways since his arrest. And they're doing everything they can to either make him go crazy, putting him in all these prisons, solitary confinement, treating him horribly, all the things that appear to be a conspiracy is a conspiracy against him. And it's all because they know now that he's innocent. And there's just too much pride involved to admit that they arrested the wrong guy. And it's sad that it's a sad coincidence of really horrible people involved in conspiring against him. But luckily, he has two attorneys that are charactered men and know that he's innocent and are doing everything they can to get him out of his dungeon to begin with. If they can just get him to jail, and they're doing everything they can to defend him, and I appreciate what they're doing, and so I've done all I feel like I can do to expose those that are conspiring against Richard Allen and try to help him because I know what the truth is. This is the truth. The bridge guy was Ron Logan. No one else participated in these crimes. All right. Thank you for your time.